The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Game Podcast Network is brought to you by Nordic Fantasy. Get up to $1,000 deposit match when you sign up at Nordic Fantasy with the promo code NBA SGPN. And welcome, everybody, to the NBA Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Game Podcast Network. It is currently Monday afternoon, June 23rd, around noon p.m. Eastern. I'm your host, Reichel. Once again, joined by Lonte. Together, we're going to break down the recap of the finals that we actually just saw. We're going to break down the Durant trade, and we're also going to talk about some very early title odds, etc., for the upcoming season. But either way, Lonte, how's it going with you? We have officially run out of games. So how do you feel?
Yeah, man, doing pretty good. It's kind of bittersweet. We grinded all 82 plus the playoffs, so it's bittersweet that it's coming to an end, but can do for a little bit of a break. But we'll probably be like yearning for more right after the free agency ends, because we'll get that spurt where summer league draft, summer league free agency, and then we'll go through a lull where it's just nothing content wise. But yeah, man, it's pretty good. I thought we had a good season, so I'm looking forward to reassessing, doing some self-scouting, and coming back next year.
Yeah, I feel like the spacing between some of the games and the draft is horrendous. I like the idea that you're having the draft basically as soon as the game ends, so there is no real off time, but conceptually, they could have ended the series about a week ago, and it would have been a lot better spaced, in my opinion. Now, I'm sure that with all these teams, the Thunder and the Pacers especially, they have a scouting department anyway. They've been scouting prospects anyway. They're not at a disadvantage, despite the fact that their seasons ended later than every other team. But I do think having the draft 2 days after the finals does feel pretty early, in my opinion. I get that you want to go directly into it. Some people are into it. I see that Free's into it as well. I don't know. I feel like it could have been spaced out better. Maybe I thought there just should have been fewer days off in the actual finals itself.
Yeah,
but
we haven't had Game 7 since 2016, so we're usually having that gap. So, yeah.
I feel like most people went into the NBA Finals going, all right, season's over. And now you're looking up and it's like, wait, the draft's in 2 days?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the shock there. The draft is actually on Wednesday. I think most people have not realized how close the draft is. But you're going to say something? Sorry.
No, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
But, of course, we're going to recap the finals, the Game 7 game especially. Before we get into that, though, a reminder that you can also check out the College Experience for team previews, which are back, Kobe and Moneyline Mac, previewing every single FBS college team. So check it out. You don't want to miss out. Starting off with the recap of Game 7, it was extremely depressing. Makes it sound like I was rooting against the Thunder. It was extremely anticlimactic. And the main storyline, of course, was the Halliburton injury. We'll talk about that in a second. But the Thunder did win their first ever franchise title. SGA did win Finals MVP, had himself an all-time great season. Scoring champion, NBA regular season MVP, Conference Finals MVP, and NBA Finals MVP. First guy to ever do that, because the Conference Finals MVP didn't exist for most of the NBA's history. But SGA had himself an all-time great season, had himself a lot of assists in Game 7. I believe he had 12. Shot the ball horribly. Didn't matter, though, as they won the game comfortably, and he finished with 29 and 12. For the game itself, though, Pacers actually led at half by 1. Then the Thunder blew them out in the third quarter and coasted to a 12-point win. Either way, though, Indiana goes back to Halliburton, played 7 minutes, destroyed his Achilles, and he was done. And at that point, he started crying on the court. They carried him off. It was a very sad scene. And I feel like most people thought the game was over at that point. But Indiana did their best. They hung around. McConnell tried to will his team to a potential, I'd say, shocking upset for about a quarter. But it was just really never there in that second half. The Thunder ramped up the intensity defensively. Indiana couldn't score. And the game was over pretty quickly. Dort made that insane shot clock ending fade away from like 37 feet. And I'm like, what the hell is happening? The Thunder made 3 straight threes at one point. The Avalanche was on in that third quarter. And it was over. So I'll ask you, where do you want to start? Because I don't want to dismiss everything the Thunder did this season. And I don't want to immediately say that Indiana would have won Game 7 if Haliburton didn't get hurt. But I have to mention the injury because it was the biggest moment of the game itself, and it sabotaged what was looking like a very competitive game for the first 7 minutes. Now, Indiana tried to hang in there. You still had 41 minutes remaining. I'm not saying Indiana would have won the game anyway, but the game took a very depressing turn once Haliburton got hurt.
Yeah, so first off, let's just prayers out to him. Hope wishing him a speedy recovery. That's like horrible. Number two, I think it's actually really difficult. I mean, for obvious reasons, it's really difficult to switch your game plan with one of your top players, like in the middle of the game. That's completely like just out of the ordinary. You're not expecting that. So you got to kind of retool all the things that you want to do. Granted, if it's even more, if it's like your top 2 or 3 player, like, you know what I'm saying? So I thought Carlisle did a really good job of thinking on the fly, doing some different things. It's just, I mean, after a while, like whenever they failed by like 5 or 6, I was like, okay, OKC's got a little bit of cushion. They can kind of do some of the things that they want to do. And the pressure was like releasing a little bit, and you can kind of see them getting a little bit more comfortable. Because early on, even after Tyrese went down, I mean, they weren't looking good at all. Indiana was playing really good basketball. TJ got going in that third quarter, and for like 14 to 15 minutes, like of real time, like nobody scored but TJ. I think the first basket that wasn't TJ was like a Siakam turnaround with like 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So a lot of those guys didn't come to play. Nesmith, Toppin, and Turner, your boy Turner, they all combined.
We'll get to him. Don't worry. We'll get to him.
They all had less combined points than Tyrese Haliburton, and he played 9 minutes. Like, that's the story of the game right there. They turned the ball over 22 times. We all know that's a recipe for disaster with OKC. But, I mean, I just want to give the Pacers credit because they could have folded.
They did all they could.
Yeah, they could have folded after the Tyrese thing, and they didn't. They fought, and they proved everybody wrong regardless of, they lost, but they proved everybody wrong. Everybody thought it was going to be a quick series, including myself. And they showed that they were not only just competitive, like they were on the verge of winning that series comfortably. Like it was going to be 3-1, and then Shea happened. So I thought they exerted themselves as, one of the premier teams until, we got to the Halley injury, which is really bad, man. I felt bad for him.
I think we all did.
And it sucks always. It sucks always to see like people get injured regardless of, whether they're, Tyrese Haliburton or even like James Wiseman. Like this is a third Achilles injury that the Pacers have suffered.
That's definitely, though, an unprecedented injury just based on the actual situation. The closest comp, I guess, is Derrick Rose or Kyrie when he blew out his knee. But Game 7 of the finals and your best player blows out his Achilles in the first quarter.
That's horrible, man. Yeah,
I've never seen that before in my entire life. That's
I wish you wouldn't have. But credit to the Pacers. I mean, I know we're going to talk about the Thunder and their reign or whatever going forward. But man, you got to credit Indiana, their fans, like their organization did a hell of a job this year and last year. Like this is not just some, some people thought, and I was like in the middle. I didn't think they were going to fold back, like go back like the Hawks did, but I did think they would, be, somewhat in the middle.
Fine.
I didn't think they would.
Yeah.
I think they would get back to the Eastern Conference. I mean, credit to them. They weren't a flash in the pan. They got really good players. They developed well. Extremely good depth. They got a good coaching staff. Like it just sucks that Tyrese is pretty much done for like probably a year and a half. You know what I'm saying? And that really sucks because you now have to like change how you are going to do things for this upcoming year. And who knows what happens in between that time. It's a lot that can go on. I mean, windows in the NBA we know are short, but it's just like, damn, man, like you got to change your whole trajectory of your franchise for the next 2 years, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm trying to think of anything else to really add. We're going to talk about the Pacers in a second with what they're going to do next because the Haliburton injury throws a huge wrench into their plans. But I do want to point out, you mentioned a stat there with Haliburton outscoring a couple of other starters, even though he played 7 minutes. I want to point out a fun stat for you. Siakam, Turner, Obi, Thomas Bryant, and Tony Bradley. The entire front court for the Pacers. Now, I will point out that Bryant ended up playing 1 minute in the game. Bradley played 5. But anyway, That entire front court got out-rebounded by Benedict Mathurin. All of those players combined got out-rebounded by Benedict Mathurin with 13 rebounds. So, yeah, that's my fun stat for Indiana on that game. We'll get back to the Pacers in a second. But
he shot the ball horribly, but he was great energy. He was getting to the free throw line. Like, he was really – like, he was one of those guys that – I mean, obviously TJ was as well. But, like, those two – and Siakam was okay, but he just wasn't as good as you needed him to be without Tyrese. But, like, those guys, man, they – like, would you bring Mathurin back? I think he's a restricted free agent.
I think you have to bring him back.
Yeah.
In reality, I understand he's a polarizing guy, but the truth is he made no type of all-NBA teams, all whatever. You can afford him. You can pay for him. He's not that expensive.
Somebody will overpay.
Somebody will probably overpay. But in reality, Mathurin, he can at least give you some great minutes off the bench. I do think you have to keep him as a sixth-man guy. Could be a six-man of the year candidate in the future.
Yeah, but like Rick doesn't really like him like that.
I get it. I'm just saying, for this team, I think he has a role on this team that's tough to replace, in my opinion. Because, look, even though a lot of his points were, I don't want to say irrelevant, but he did some solid performing in the fourth quarter, what do you want him to do? It's the NBA Finals, final game of the season. He's playing all 48 minutes. Like, that's what you want from your guys. So I'm not going to, once again, I'm not going to take his points with a grain of salt. He tried his ass off. It is what it is. He had a really bad series, and he picked it up in Game 7. It didn't matter in the end, but he tried. He played well. He had 24 and 13. So I thought Mathurin played well, but it didn't matter. I do want to talk briefly about the Thunder, because even though we'll talk about the Pacers in a second and their future, the Thunder, despite looking a bit unimpressive over the course of multiple series, mostly the series against Denver and the series against the Pacers, none of that matters. The Thunder are the champions. The question is, where exactly are they going to go from here? Because they have 5,000 picks. They won the title. They're going to have to pay some guys a lot of money. So I'll ask you, because we're talking about the Thunder now in a certain dynasty lens because of how well positioned they are compared to the rest of the league. With the apron system, with the picks they have, they can be creative. However, it should be tough to actually keep the entire core intact. So I'll ask you about the Thunder. What were your thoughts on them in the series? Yes, they won the title. I think there is room for improvement. What exactly would you try to do during the offseason or moving forward to deal with the bump up in salaries and to maybe plug up some holes at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. It's so many different directions that they can go. And just because they have those, like, all those assets, like, it's so many, like, they got 2 picks in the top 20 of this year, like, so, or top 25. So it's like, you can't, I don't think they can add players because, and if I was a player, like, I wouldn't want to go to OKC because you're not going to play. Like, you got Topic coming back, who was a lottery pick, who's probably going to be somewhere in that rotation.
He didn't even play a game. The entire season, and he'd be pretty good.
But they can afford to do that because of what they have. You know what I'm saying? And Chet did the same thing. I mean, he was injured, obviously playing in the summer, but like I think that benefited Chet as well because he got to see the NBA lifestyle and different things beforehand. And I mean, bro, honestly, they can do so many things. I think the low-hanging fruit is just like probably replacing Dort with Wallace is what I would guess. And
can you replace Dort that easily, though, or do you think that there's some type of emotional element and a certain intensity that he brings? I don't want to compare him to Dylan Brooks, but you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
A guy that has a certain edge to him that might kind of be contagious.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that, like, I think if they have to do anything, if they have to do something, I think Dort will probably be the easier one to get off of.
100%.
Yeah, but again, you have to ask yourself, like, this apron and all these different things that are being implemented, like, it was already hard enough to start a dynasty or go like back to back with the same players. Then, like back then when we didn't have these restrictions, and now that you have all these different types of restrictions, like, it's really tough to keep a team together. Granted, I know they're young, but like these guys got to get paid.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, and like you can't pay everybody, so like something, and you can't play everybody, you can't pay everybody, so something has to give. You can't draft everybody. They got so many draft picks, bro. So many draft picks, and I think I consolidate those, and maybe I don't know if they want to swing for somebody, or like what? It's really tough for me to kind of gauge what they are going to do. But they're obviously smart organization with Presti and all those scouts and different things. So I'm pretty sure they'll try to get creative. Maybe somebody takes less. I mean, we've seen it before, and Jalen Brunson took almost $120 million less. So maybe we see that.
I think that's more of an outlier, though, because Brunson was a good player who blossomed after he got paid the, in hindsight, very cheap contract. It's not really the same.
Yeah, so it's tough, man. Like I really don't. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really know where to start with what they can actually do. I mean, the one thing you do know is like they can't bring 2 more first round picks on their roster. Like it's impossible. You can only roster 15 people, and then
pretty much.
Like so,
and Topic is on the way too.
Yeah, like so that's really tough, man. And everybody's under contract. Like all their core is under contract. So that's
the problem that you have with this apron system in a different way. They're so good that they're screwed because they have set up a perfect infrastructure and they're basically being punished for it because their young players are too good.
Too fast, too good.
That's kind of what happened here, where the Thunder, I don't want to say they're going to have to trade one of their main guys, but you have to keep J-Dub and Shea together at this point. You're not going to get rid of one of them. Shea's going to stay for his life with OKC. J-Dub's going to have to stay. You can argue it might be overpaid at some point, but he's the second best player on the title team. He had 40 points in a finals game.
Yeah, no overpayment. There's no overpayment.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Chet is the interesting elephant in the room. Shout out to him, by the way, who had a great Game 7.
Great.
He had a pretty bad series in general. He had 18 points and I believe a final single-game record 5 blocks.
Incredible.
So he was very good in Game 7. But if there's one area you could, in theory, improve upon, and if there's one guy who might be paid a lot of money as a restricted free agent that you might have to consider, I don't want to say cutting ties with, but you know what I'm trying to say, it would be Chet out of those 3 guys.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a no-brainer if they have to.
So, once again, they're in a tough spot in the future. Yeah. It's a good problem to have when you have that many picks and you have that much talent.
They've been through it before.
But they're being punished for being really good at running a franchise.
It's tough, man. That's
very tough.
They've been through it before with Harden, Ibaka, KD, Russ. So I think they can probably get creative and maybe do some things that are out of the box, but I just don't know what. If I did, I'd probably be trying to work for
You ever look back at that Harden trade to Houston? It wasn't good. Good. They got Steven Adams in that deal in hindsight. You got Jeremy Lamb. Congratulations. It was not a good deal for OKC in hindsight. But, yeah, so OKC I wanted to mention briefly. Of course, we'll mention them a bit more when we get into the finals odds for next season. But they do have some problems on the horizon. Maybe not immediately, but it's an interesting dynamic and a difficult situation that they're actually in right now. But I got to go back to Indiana because Halliburton probably going to miss all of next year. The Eastern Conference is a mess. Separate point, Knicks fans are thrilled. Cavs fans are thrilled. Magic fans are thrilled.
Nets
Talk about that a bit more. What?
Nets fans not thrilled?
I'll get into the Nets in a second for different reasons. They're thrilled for different reasons, I'll tell you that much. But for the Halliburton injury, of course it sucks. Have to go big picture, though, for the Pacers. Because assuming they were fully healthy, I still think that they would make some moves. Some people might think this is fluky, whether or not you agree. I do think there's room to improve this roster. Of course, one guy that I have circled, which I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. Now Halliburton's out. What do you do if you're Indiana? Because this year you're kind of in purgatory where you're probably too good in this conference to fully bottom out, but you'll be a playoff team. Yeah. You're basically Milwaukee this past year where you're making the playoffs, you have no chance of doing anything, but you're still along for the ride.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Boston's in right now without Tatum. If you're Indiana, what do? Are you less likely to make moves because Halliburton's injured? Or are you more likely to make moves trying to, I don't want to say tear down the core, but Indiana's in a very weird spot too. What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I think all of these teams are in a weird spot because if you look at the East, man,
it's
literally,
terrible.
Yeah, it's so terrible it's good. It's going to be so intriguing to see these teams battle and fight because, let's say, for instance, Indiana, as currently constructed, Like if nothing happens and everything stays the same.
Assuming McConnell's the new starting point guard.
Yeah, I guess if you want to do that.
Okay,
like
I'm just saying, assuming. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I don't know how he'll be like a higher usage, but again, just assuming everything is the same except for the Hallie injury. Like they're still good enough to be a top 5 seed in the East, maybe top 4.
I think they would still finish with a winning record.
Yeah, like so again, they're not bad enough to where
is that a hot take? They finished with a winning record without Halliburton. I just think their style of play is so difficult to prepare for.
No, they can. I mean, they've proven it game after game. They can win without him.
Yeah,
like,
still a lot of wins. But when you have the Eastern Conference being that bad, Indiana, I think, should still be a top 6 team.
Yeah, I think they will be a top. I would say top 5.
They would not be in the plan. I think they'd be better than the plan.
Yeah. So again, now do you want? You obviously know your ceiling is limited unless you get a certain caliber of player, and I don't think that caliber of player is on the market. Something that they would kind of swing for, especially with the timeline that they've been on. So I think they traded their draft pick from this year, which is
that was also weird.
Yeah, well, no, it was good because it's just like, okay, with our timeline, like we don't need that pick in the in the 20s. We can just refer it to next year, and next year's draft is deeper from about 15 to 25 than it is.
I just meant it was weird they made that trade during the finals.
Okay, yeah, okay, not the trade itself. Okay,
no, not the trade. I thought was okay. Just the timing of the trade made me laugh. But then I remember the draft is on Wednesday. So they were running out of time to actually do this trade in the first place.
Yeah, I got you. So so they probably would, if you had to, ask them like, hey, you want that pick back? They probably would just to bring in somebody to maybe develop for a year, and it would probably be a point guard is what I would guess. But again, man, like I think they still have guys to be, top 5 and to scare somebody and maybe get to the second. I mean, it's the East. Like they probably can go back to the final, to the Eastern Finals. Like you literally don't know because off the top of my head, I mean, obviously Knicks, Magic, Cavs. Those are going to be the 3 probably favorites among them. But after that, bro, it's pretty much nothing separating the. I mean, obviously you have Milwaukee with Giannis, and Giannis is one of the best players in the world. So,
but Dame's also out for the season, probably.
Right. Again, so like it's so many different aspects to the Eastern Conference that I think that they'll stay the course. Maybe get a tweak here and there. They obviously, I think now. If they weren't going to bring back Turner, they probably are going to bring him back. And again, man, I think they'll be somewhat around that 5-6 seed, and they'll probably win a first round game and push somebody in the second round.
See, this is the weird part where they're in because the Pacers, based on how it was going, assuming they ended up losing Game 7 without the Halliburton injury, they are in full win now mode. They would make some moves, arguably some desperation moves, to get over the hump. Now they're not. So I do agree with you about Miles Turner, and that's the main guy that I was obviously referring to. I think that was the position of upgrade. If you wanted to go for the front court, I read off the rebounding numbers compared to Mathurin in Game 7. Look, Siakam, I know he can rebound occasionally, not a great rebounder. Turner's an abysmal rebounder. They need to improve, at least based on getting some interior scoring from those from the front court, and the rebounding has to be better from those guys. I think that was the area. I know you mentioned wings in the past. The point is there is room to package a couple of solid players. If you want to go for a Shepherd, a draft pick or 2, you throw in another guy, a Jarris Walker type if somebody wants to take a flyer, to get somebody a bit more proven in the front court. I think that was the move they would make in theory. A sign-in trade with Miles Turner. A team gets him, gives away some pieces back. Maybe you can go from there. I think they have to bring Turner back now because you could flip him down the road, but he's still a capable starter. I can't stand the guy, but it doesn't really matter because your team's not competing to win a title now anyway for the following season. So I expect them to bring everyone back and just hope that once Halliburton's healthy, you already have the infrastructure in place to compete for a title.
Right.
I think that's the argument from them.
Yeah. And let me ask you this. So I think that Turner is obviously playing out of position. So if you put a natural 5 next to him, maybe he'll be better in that 4 spot. So I think that's a good point by you.
But that takes away from what Siakam wants to do because part of the offense is him stretching the floor and just beating teams down the floor, fast break style, getting free points in transition.
Yeah, but to me, I think Siakam can adjust to anything. I
think he can too, but I think Siakam's not a good enough outside shooter to be a small forward.
That's fair.
So that's going to be problematic. But look, I'm very anti-Miles Turner. It's well documented. I think he sucks. I think the argument is his actual skill set, in theory, should make him a basketball unicorn almost. He's an insane athlete, a great rim protector based on reputation with the blocks, and he's allegedly a very good outside shooter. The problem is he doesn't use any of that athleticism at all offensively, besides the occasional poster dunk. He spends all his time running around the perimeter, setting slip screens, and then just immediately fading back to the three-point line. He's invisible all the time, and I don't think he's as good as people say that he is. So, look, I thought he was useless for almost the entire series. He banked in a three-pointer in Game 1. That helped out. But Turner, in the biggest game of the season, to cash my lock on the under PRA, he had 6 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist in 24 minutes. He came back into the game in the fourth quarter, picked up 2 fouls in 40 seconds, and never played again. He got benched for about the final 9 minutes of the game. So, look, I think everything I've said about Turner over the last couple of years was on full display in the series. I'm very anti. I think he's an overrated player, and I do think his lack of rebounding and his lack of, I'd say, paint scoring and aggression really can kill you, because at times you're playing 4-on-5 offensively. And when that three-point shot does not fall, he does not do much else to help out your team. He did in that one game against Chet in Game 3, where defensively he was a lunatic in the fourth quarter. But once again, I'm not going to keep beating this dead horse. I think Turner is just not a great player, and I think he's going to get paid a lot of money for a guy that I think is not very good. I get the argument is, once again, when it's good, it's very good. When the shot's falling, he's very, very tough to deal with. The problem is when the shot's not falling, there's a lot to hate about his game, and you're going to pay him a lot of money. So I'm not a Turner guy. I would have flipped him, gotten something in return, but now you're kind of stuck with the Halliburton injury, so I don't know what they're going to do. I'm assuming they're going to run it back, if I had to guess. But anything else you want to add for Indiana? Am I too harsh on Turner, or do you agree?
I mean, listen, I'm not the. I'm a little bit higher on him than you are, but
he has talent. I just don't like his play style at all. There's no way a guy that size with that much vertical and jumping ability should be this bad at rebounding.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with Jaren.
Yeah, pretty much. He's also bigger than Jaren too.
Yeah, so I like both of those guys a lot more than the average person. But I mean, I can't really sit here after that performance, and not just this game, but in this finals.
No, he just modeled his rebounding games after Brook Lopez, and I can't stand it. A guy that athletic should not be playing like Brook Lopez.
Yeah, so I can't really sit here and make the case for him. But I do think if they pair him with another big, he'll be a lot more effective. That's how I feel. But again, you got the Siakam thing. I totally understand that. But I do think he'll benefit more from being beside a big man. I mean, maybe a younger one if they want to develop him. I know we're not draft stuff, but I like somebody like Thomas Sorber next to him. Somebody big, physical, who can learn under him and also do the dirty work. Kind of like obviously not comparing the two, but it's kind of like with Chet, with Hartenstein. You see how different of a player Chet was with Hartenstein and how different he was without him. And that makes a big, big difference. So I think something
that's the AD argument where he never wanted to play center.
The difference with AD was he's good at either one.
Correct. But the argument is some guys feel more comfortable and their games might fit a certain position instead of others. Yes, another 7 feet tall, but some guys prefer to have that other, I'd say, front court support in the starting lineup.
Yeah, and AD was effective when he had, JaVale, Dwight. But again, I mean, bro, you've been it's approved. It was data was suggested hey, you're really awesome at the 5. We do really well when you're at the 5. I mean, he just didn't like it.
It's both. I'm saying there is some personal preference involved too, where some guys just prefer mentally to play with another big man beside them.
Yeah, and some of them are beneficial to each other. Yeah, I agree.
So there you go. But once again, they're going to bring back Turner. I was not surprised that he no-showed a bunch of games in that series because I'm very anti. But anyway, felt good to cash my lock of fading Miles Turner in the final game of the season. Before we get into the other breaking news that actually happened in the NBA over the last day or so, a reminder that we are brought to you by our sponsor, which is MyBookie, because they're available at a ton of locations. Use crypto for all of payouts. You can also bet on the MLB, WNBA, golf, UFC, you name it. They're also available for the NFL. If you want to bet on some futures, they have easy deposits and fast payouts. When you head to mybookie.ag, though, use the promo code SGPN. You get a 100% match up to 1K. Terms and conditions mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Circa, because they are still hosting the ultimate fantasy football experience for a 12-person league to draft in Vegas. Be sure to get VIPs for your stay. Get a home ride from the airport, a 5K tab for stadium swim, and a hotel stay for you and your 11 league mates. You can always get 15% of everything at Circa Properties with the code SGP15. And a reminder, last chance to enter the contest at sportsgaming.com to Circa. That's sportsgaming.com to CIRCA. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Game Podcast. Finish going through the finals recap and potential offseason plans for the Thunder and the Pacers. Time to move on into the other breaking news. We had a trade that happened involving a future Hall of Famer. Kevin Durant ended up getting traded to the Rockets. He's returning to Texas, so nice to see that. But the Suns, in return, got Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10th pick in the upcoming draft on Wednesday, and 5 second-round picks. Same amount of second-round picks that the Bucks gave up for Jay Crowder. Fun fact. Anyway, point is, for this trade itself, Durant, I feel like, was expected to go for a lot more. A lot of teams didn't want to pay that because of age, durability, contracts, and maybe some locker room stuff as well. But I'm assuming mainly based on age and durability concerns. I'll ask you, for this trade, we know that the Rockets were on the short list of teams that were in serious contention to get him. Starting off with the deal itself before we go big picture, what were your thoughts on the trade? Were you surprised? Did you think this package was in the ballpark of what you were expecting? Or do you expect to see a bit more?
Honestly, I think it's about what we would expect. Honestly, I wouldn't have thought they would have had to attach the 5 second-round picks. I get why Phoenix wants them, because they have no picks at all. So I get why they would want those. But I thought the 10th pick and 2 players would have been fine. But I mean, if I'm the Rockets, I wanted to keep Jalen Green. I understand what he, this is first time through the playoffs. The team is not, they can't shoot. His best ability is get downhill. It was some things there. I like Jalen Green more than the average person. I think that's.
Well, I'm going to ask you, though, in order to actually get Durant, because the Suns wanted a young scorer in return or a young player.
I'm giving him Jabari.
Do you think Jabari Smith swapped for Jalen Green is enough to get this deal done?
Well, what I would have, my proposal would have been, hey, I'll give you. I didn't even think they had to add Jabari. I would have been like, okay, well, you want.
Well, the point of Jabari swapping for Jalen Green. I'm wondering, if it wasn't Jalen Green, who else would you have had in the deal?
I would have traded them. Hey, take Reed Shepherd, take Cam Whitmore, take Dillon Brooks, take the 10th pick, and I'll give you those 5 second-rounders.
I don't know if that's enough.
You don't think so?
I don't know, because
they're
the Suns.
They're probably going to flip Jalen Green anyway.
It's a difficult spot for the Suns because they're screwed either way. They have no picks. They have no future. They're dead. Right. And the Beal contract killed the entire franchise. So
yeah, I would want. I understand. Jalen
it's
Green
the unproven part. Shepherd barely played last year. I know he could be solid. We don't know. Whitmore also did not play that much. Seems to be a bit of a, I would argue, but personality-wise, a bit polarizing.
To me, they're not going to compete with either trade. They're not competing. You're not going to.
No, correct. But I'm just saying the Suns wanted one proven scorer back in return.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't think that would have been enough. Jabari Smith, maybe. But I think Jalen Green, based on how that series went against Golden State, I think it was a foregone conclusion. His time in Houston's done. But I'll ask you, though, if you had a choice between Jalen Green in this deal or Jabari, who would you rather have in this deal?
If you're
the Rockets.
If I'm the Suns or Rockets.
If you're the Rockets, who would you rather have included?
If I'm the Rockets, I wanted to keep Jalen Green.
Okay. And if you're the Suns, you would have taken Jalen Green.
If I'm the Suns, I would want I probably would have want Jalen Green as well.
That's what I'm saying. So
yeah, I get it, but it's just my thing is with the Rockets, you have the leverage. Nothing that they say to you, he wants to get traded. You're going to either take this, and this is probably one of the best offers they probably could have gotten.
Yeah. Well, because he ruled out Minnesota. So your argument was basically looking at San Antonio, and they didn't seem interested that much. Toronto made some cases, but I don't know if you wanted to play for Toronto. The market wasn't as deep as you might have thought.
Yeah, they were bidding against themselves, basically. I understand it, but I'm just saying, if I was in charge, I would want to keep Jalen Green because I think he could be more effective with KD in the lineup. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he would be better suited to do some of the things that he wants to do because KD can space the floor. Nobody's spacing the floor on that team. And right now, like, as currently constructed, they look good on paper on the front court. But you trust that backcourt to guard anybody?
No.
Or score? Like, I mean, I know Van Vliet had his, thing, but like, do you trust Van Vliet in a playoff series to be consistently good? Like,
Look, if I'm going to spend about 5 minutes roasting Miles Turner, we don't have enough time on the pod for me to also roast Van Vliet. Like, I know he was great.
And I like Van Vliet. Like, he
was very good at the end of that Warriors series. Like, I will give him props for that. But Van Vliet's another guy on my list who's drastically overpaid. He's making $40+ million, and I feel like he's invisible half the time too. So
40% from the field.
He gives them some leadership stuff. Yeah, you can't shoot that badly making $40 million as a starting guard. That can't happen. So I'm a lot lower on Van Vliet than other people. But I'm not going to go full rabbit hole here on Van Vliet too.
Yeah, but I like the trade for the Rockets. Obviously, when you get when you get a all-time great like Kevin Durant, who like, I mean, bro, if you look at Kevin Durant's numbers, like he's still even post Achilles, like he's still being Kevin Durant, man. And I understand the age, but he's still Kevin Durant at the end of the day. He's producing. It's not just that he is who he is and he's not producing anymore. It's not like Melo going to the Lakers. You get what I'm saying? Like Melo was toned down a ton and was just fitting a specific role. Durant is still scoring at the same level. Maybe it's a little bit tougher for him to get, some of his looks over some of the more athletic wings that are guarding him, but he's still getting whatever he wants, whenever he wants. He's still efficient. He's never been overly athletic, but some of the help side defense, like blocking shots at the rim, some of that's kind of deteriorated. But I mean, it's Kevin Durant, bro. Like, you already have a great defense, so like he's just gonna be asked to come in. He's gonna play hard, obviously, and then he's got like, hey, we need a bucket, ISO Kevin Durant on the wing or at the nail and get us a bucket. Like that's valuable. I don't care how old Kevin Durant is.
Do you like the combo though with Şengün and Durant? Because Şengün, I don't know if he's a big off-ball guy.
I mean, that's interesting as well. He'll probably be playing a little bit more five, and they'll be huge. Like when they bring the two big in, when they go Şengün, Adams, Durant, Amin. And maybe Tari Eason, maybe Jabbar. Like they'll be huge.
They're gonna be such a pain in the ass to play against.
They are.
With all the lineups they have. With Udoka as well as the coach. I don't know how many Adams minutes we're going to get. There might have been a playoff wrinkle in there. We'll see what happens. But
that's all you need him for.
The point is, though, I still want to see how Şengün and Durant play because Durant's always been an ISO player, and Şengün's been an ISO player too. So I don't know if it's going to work immediately, but I think it's going to be an interesting work in progress. I think they need a better scoring. We knew that.
I think Şengün will probably have the most difficulty adjusting. Durant, yes, we saw what he did from OKC to Golden State. Again, Golden State totally different than what the Rockets are. So
yeah. But I do want to ask you though, for the sake of Houston, getting Durant, it sounds like we both think Houston won the trade at this point. Do you agree on that? Do you think it's a fleecing? Do you think it's fair? What exactly are your thoughts on the trade as a whole?
I think it's about fair as you can get, man. You get for the Suns, you get a young player up and coming. Now, I mean, it's not the best situation for the Suns because they got like 7 shooting guards. You get a pick, so you got time to maybe get a point guard in the draft to kind of develop, and you got some future assets. You got 5 second-round picks. So I mean, the Suns, like I said, they were betting again. I mean, they were playing the wrong hand. Basically, they were dealt the wrong hand, I would say, and they got
not the wrong hand. They're playing the wrong game.
That too, and then they got another.
They're playing Uno at a poker table. They don't have a chance.
Right, and then they have another bad situation with Bradley Beal that they got to figure out as well. And you can't really get compensation for him because he has the no trade clause, so he has to tell you, "Hey, I want to go here." And again, you run into the same situation because if he wants to go there, why would we give you what you want? Like you come to me and tell me, "Hey, I want a play, a late for Bradley Beal." I'm not giving you that because he wants to come here. You're under my discretion now. So the Suns got a long way to go. But they got out of one situation. Let's see how they progress. So I won't say if you lose a player like Durant, obviously a loss, but they want to do, judge that like down the line of what they are.
Yeah, for the record, I don't personally think they got out of any situations right now until Beal's officially off the roster. I think everything comes back to that Beal contract. They have no picks. They got a 10th pick back, and they got 5 second-rounders, whatever. We'll see what they do with those. But you're looking at the Beal contract just completely stunting any type of progress this franchise is trying to make. There are rumors of a buyout, which tells you how bad this contract is. It's an all-time bad NBA contract with the no trade attached to it. They're stuck. They don't have a choice. So the point is, until they actually move the Beal contract, everything's kind of irrelevant. It doesn't matter. They're going to suck. And I think the trio of Booker, Beal, and Jalen Green is hilarious hoops. It's not going to be fun to watch. I think it'll be extremely ugly, but I think it'll be really, really funny. I'll enjoy, it's like watching a car accident in slow motion. I'll have an interesting time watching it, but I do think the Suns are still a lost cause. I think Ishbia is the worst owner in the entire league. So I do think that as long as he's around, which of course he will be for a long time, he destroyed this team in about 2 years. It's crazy how he set this franchise back about a decade in a year and a half. It's insane. But for the sake of the Suns, when it comes to trade... Okay. All right. Yeah. We'll see how that goes for him. At some point, you're in too deep. The deed is done. If you light a house on fire and you walk away from the house is still on fire. That's still your fault. So Ishbia taking a step back after destroying the entire team doesn't really change my stance on him, believe it or not. But the point is, for I'll say the trade grades, I'll give Houston a B+. Standard trade. Do I think it puts them over the top? No. But they got better. They have some scoring now. Durant's past his prime. He's injured all the time. But it's a move you had to make for the scoring. So I'll give Houston a B+. For the Suns, my grade is an Ishbia out of 10. That's all I got. It doesn't matter what the hell they do. Who cares? As long as Beal's under contract, all their moves are irrelevant. So based on what the Suns got back, Jalen Green's a talented young player who might get a ton of shots. Him, Booker, and Beal might punch each other in the face trying to get 20-plus shots a game. So this might get extremely, I'd say, ugly to watch. But either way, Dillon Brooks is going to be miserable in Phoenix, but he's not going to take any shots, so that's going to work out for them. We'll see what they do with the draft pick and the 5 second-rounders. Who cares? But for the Suns, I give the Rockets a B+. I give the Suns an Ishbia out of 10. Who cares? They're screwed anyway. But I'll ask you, what are you going to say?
So my thing is, do you think that that a veteran team will want Dillon Brooks? You can get something for him?
Yes.
Okay.
There have been running jokes for years after the series against the Lakers. Get ready to learn Chinese, buddy. And then he got paid a bunch of money by Houston. Because, look, there's value for a 3-and-D guy who I know his shot can be very inconsistent, but there is some value in having a guy that can give you value without actually needing the ball. There's a lack of ego there. I know it's going to sound crazy because I know that Brooks has a massive, I'd say, superiority complex when it comes to trying to punk other stars. There's a fearlessness there. He doesn't need the ball. I think a team would want him. You could flip Brooks in theory.
So, would you send him back to Memphis?
What would you get?
I'm not sure.
Can I get Gigi Jackson in that deal?
He probably can. Gigi's.
I'd rather for this team. I'd rather have Gigi Jackson than Dillon Brooks. What the hell is Dillon Brooks supposed to do for you on this team? This team sucks. He needs as much young talent as possible, and you just figure it out.
I agree with you, but I think Dillon Brooks has value to other teams, though. Like a Memphis, I would maybe look at him if I'm Milwaukee.
Milwaukee's also a team that's doing nothing, so yeah, sure. That's
what they have, so they,
Correct, but look, Brooks is a very easy flip candidate. So is Jalen Green. You're going to probably keep him. You're going to kick the tires and see if you can get what you get for him and see if you want to keep him or not. You could easily flip him to Charlotte or some crappy organization. Sacramento would love him. Sacramento would love having Jalen Green. He fits exactly what they want to do, which is a bunch of nothing. So we'll see if they can flip him. So I'm saying Sacramento getting Jalen Green does make some sense. So we'll see. But
they can't trade him until July 6th, though. Yeah. So this trade is
but you get my point, though.
Yeah,
the Suns might not keep their guys.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. But I think Brooks will be flipped. There's no point in him being on this team.
If I'm a middling,
Jalen Green's at least young.
You
can experiment.
Yeah, if I'm a middling to contending team, I want Dillon Brooks on my team.
Yeah, but the point is, you think that Houston won the trade, but you think that the Suns did not get fleeced.
They did.
You know my biggest winner of the trade.
Who was that?
It's the Brooklyn Nets.
What happened with the Nets?
We're the biggest winner of the deal. A reminder of what the Nets got in the original Kevin Durant deal.
Oh, okay.
They got Cam Johnson and 9 first-round picks. They got a 2023 pick from Phoenix, 2025 pick from Phoenix, which actually got moved around, but they have 4 picks in the first round, 2027 pick in the first round, a pick swap from Phoenix in 2028, and a first-round pick from Phoenix in 2029. A reminder, that was for Durant. And if you want to throw in the Bridges stuff, they got 5 extra picks from that.
You know what, man? I like the Nets front office. I like their coach. I like that they're going to bring some young players in. They maybe try to get a free agent here and there. But, man, listen, I think the Nets will be competitive next year.
The point is, you look at what the Suns just got for Durant after Durant went for 9 first-round picks and Cam Johnson, if you include the Bridges deal to New York. They got Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, 1 first-round pick, and 5 second-round picks for Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, and 4 first-round picks. The Nets are the biggest winner of this Durant deal with Houston. So even as a Nets fan, being unbiased, the return they got and the fact that they have the Suns first-round pick for 2027, a swap in 2028, and a first-round pick in 2029, and the Suns are in the West, oh my God, those could be some really nice picks. The biggest winner is the Nets.
Now that you put it that way, I agree with you.
So once again, I give the Nets an A+ for a deal they were not involved in directly. I'll give Houston a B+. I saw an A- in the chat. I don't mind that too. Ballpark around there, A-, B+. And I give the Suns, they were screwed anyway. I'll give them a C. A C+. What do you want? They have Beal under contract. It doesn't matter what the hell they do. So that's where I'm at. Anyway, time to move on into the actual breakdown of the upcoming title odds for next season. Before we get into that, though, a reminder that we're brought to you by our sponsor, Unrick Fantasy, because you can play their Best Ball Mania, which is happening all summer long, giving away $15 million in prizes, including $2 million to first place. No waiver wire, no arguments about trades. Best Ball is the best way to play fantasy football. They're also available for Pick'em, and when you sign up for your new account, use the code NBSGPN to get a special pick and your first time deposit offer up to $1K in bonus cash. Unrick Fantasy promo code NBASGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, because Rhythm just dropped a game-changing feature called Power Trends. They are able to detect patterns. Rhythm's models, if this is only one, have a high ROI. Power Trends are updated daily, excludes the Rhythm, no touts, no noise, just clean dead back picks. And when you download Rhythm, check out the Power Trends, start betting smarter. And you also can try it for free for a week by using the 7-day free trial. Go to sportsgaming.com Rhythm to get your 7-day free trial. That's sportsgaming.com/Rhythm to get your 7-day free trial. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gaming Podcast. Finished going through the Durant trade and how the Nets once again got 9 first-round picks for that. And the Suns, in hindsight, got Dillon Brooks, Jalen Green, and a first-round pick. But either way, time to move on into the future markets with the upcoming season. We're a long way away, but you know what? It's fun. Why not? One domino fell already with Durant. We'll talk about it. Now, I'm going to ask you, Lonte, how you want to do this? Do you want to do the conferences too, or just the actual title odds?
No, I would just do overall title odds.
Okay.
So pretty much blend in all together anyway.
Yeah. So for the title odds, I'll read them off now. The Thunder are favored to repeat. I'm using DraftKings for now just based on the layout, but you could find different odds at different books. It doesn't really matter. Just find whichever line has Find whichever book has the best line for the team you want to bet on. Thunder are plus 230. The Rockets are now the second favorites at 750. Cleveland's at 850. Knicks are at 850. Timberwolves are at 13-1. Lakers are 14-1. Nuggets at 15-1. Celtics at 19-1 with no Tatum most likely for the entire season. Maybe Tatum comes back end. We'll see. But they're at 19-1. You have the Warriors at 20-1. Magic 22-1. Wemby and the Spurs at 25-1. Embiid's corpse at 35-1 with Podcast P. Pacers at 35-1. Clippers at 40-1. Mavericks at 40-1. Bucks at 60. That's kind of it. I could have stopped mentioning teams about 5 teams ago, but I'll ask you, for the sake of the odds themselves, I want to start off with Houston because the Thunder should obviously be favored, and I think it makes sense that they're this cheap because they won the title, they're in a great spot, bunch of picks, bunch of teams are firing coaches, they're injured, Thunder are fully healthy, bunch of talent, bunch of depth, bunch of picks. So I agree about them being the clear favorites to win next year. Houston being second, I think, is absolutely insane. Yeah. And I think that you're looking at an overreaction of the Durant deal. If they were in the Eastern Conference, sure.
Yeah.
But they're against, once again, the Thunder. They're against the Nuggets. They're against the Clippers are a joke, but still the Clippers had a decent run last year. There are a lot of really good teams in the Western Conference. Durant's never healthy, and you got to reinvent some stuff. I'll ask you for the Rockets. Are we seeing eye to eye here? Because 750, I think, is an insanely public angle. I think those odds suck.
Yeah,
that's my least favorite bet on the entire board.
Yeah, some recency bias there. Yeah, I really don't think they're good enough right now to even make the Western Conference Finals. I mean, that West is so good, man. And obviously, we're talking about this before the draft, before anything else happens. So we're just going off of what we have in front of us and not what's what we predict is or project is going to happen. So just as currently constructed, they're not good enough to be I still don't think they're good enough to beat Minnesota in the series.
I didn't even mention Minnesota. Yeah,
Golden State, Denver. I don't think they can.
I think I would take them beating Golden State.
I don't think so.
I think I would.
I don't think so.
That series was a war anyway, and Houston couldn't score. I think Houston would actually beat Golden State in a 7-gamer. Yeah, but Butler also got hurt, so there are different wrinkles to throw in there.
Yeah, so I mean, that's right. I just named out 3 or 4 teams. That's not plus 750 is not indicative of what I feel it should be.
What would you have it at?
I mean, if I'm a bookmaker, I would probably have it there just in case. That's a
you want to sucker in the public and whatever. But I'm saying, if you had to do true odds, I think they're in the wrong tier.
Yeah. What was the What was Minnesota 12?
So Cavs were 850, Knicks were 850, Timberwolves at 13, Lakers at 14, Nuggets at 15.
Yeah, I would have them between 13 and 14.
I think we're on the same page.
Maybe 12 if you want to be on the higher end. But I think between 12 and 14 is what I think it probably should be.
750 is the sucker bet of the entire offseason.
They're not better than Cleveland. Right
Besides
now.
Maybe Lakers at 14-1. That's a pretty bad sucker one too.
Yeah, I mean the Lakers are always going to be public. They're always
LeBron's 90 years old. He's about to retire. They're not winning a title, but the point is, at least that one, you have a couple of stars on the team, and maybe you could argue, they'll rig a trade for the Lakers and they'll figure something out.
Yeah, let me ask you: do you think they're better than Boston without Tatum?
Who, Houston or the Lakers?
Houston.
Assuming Brown's fully healthy to start next season.
Yeah, assuming everybody's healthy. Brown, Holiday, Porzingis.
So you're saying in a hypothetical series, or we're going including the conferences that they're in?
No. I mean, just in a series, if they play for the championship, do you think that the Rockets would be favored to beat Boston?
Honestly, watching how badly Boston struggled against Orlando, I think I actually would take Houston.
Okay.
In that series.
I think it's more coin flippy than
I think it's a very big coin flip.
Yeah,
but Orlando did a bunch of things that frustrated Boston, and Houston can do those things.
Yeah, and that's true. But my thing is, it's not that far off, and look how far those odds are from each other.
Yeah, definitely true. I think once again, it's a situation where I don't know. Do you hear that, by the way? Because there's some construction going on. Do you hear that?
Oh no, I don't hear anything.
You didn't hear any banging going on?
Nope.
Okay, cool, sweet. So either way, point is, I think for the sake of the odds, the Rockets at 750 is insane. Do you want to take the Thunder at 230?
Hell no. No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't really want to either. So I'm going to ask you.
Yeah, I'll wait until they go to like a lull in the season where they lose, 5 of 8, and everybody's like,
that's not moving. I guarantee you that's not going to move.
Yeah.
No, that's not moving.
Unbettable, bro. They're like Chiefs. Remember when Mahomes came on the scene, went to the AFC Championship, lost. The Chiefs are unbettable. They're unbettable not in games because they were decent. But
the problem with that comparison is the Chiefs made it to the AFC title game every year after that. So I don't know if it matters much. You say it's unbettable until the Chiefs win again, and you're like, oh, I probably should have bet on that. So
they're like the Thunder are in that tier like we saw with like Golden State, with Cleveland in the East when they had LeBron. Like they're in that category, like where you can't bet it. Like you can't bet that. Well, I
think the best bet you could make with the Thunder is for an exact finals matchup.
Yeah.
You ignore the winner, you gamble on the Eastern Conference winner, and you try to get the exacta. That's kind of what you're hoping for. But I'll ask you, though, because the Thunder we think might be a bit cheap, but I'm not going to say no to the Thunder. I mean, I think that team's really good.
No, I'm not.
Who do you want to take out of the odds we mentioned? Because the Rockets are out. The Lakers, I know you're a Lakers fan, but we're not taking them.
No.
So, what do you like for the actual futures here?
Cleveland, man. I like Cleveland in the East. And, I mean, to be honest, the East is a crapshoot, man. I mean, we might see the Hornets and the Nets in the playoffs next year, man. Like, it's just that.
I think the Nets would be a play-in team, if anything, but the Bulls and the Hawks might be playoff teams.
Yeah, right. So I believe that Cleveland has some value because they have the most continuity within one another. I mean, the Knicks as well, but I mean they don't have a coach. And I think Cleveland is better than the Knicks. So like Cleveland would be my pick in the East. And I mean I know it's like tough to see right now. But I still like Minnesota, man. I still like Minnesota. I still have affinity for Denver just because of Joker, and I know they're going to do something. And they pushed that team, one of the most dominant teams that we've seen, to 7 games. They were on the ropes. Like I mean, Indy did too, but like it's still something about Denver that I just can't quit, man. Maybe it's Joker, but those will be the two that I think in the West, and then Cleveland obviously in the East. And if I had to take a flyer on somebody in the East, it would be Boston.
I mean, I think Boston's odds make sense at 19-1. If you want to make a case that Tatum can come back mid-season, that could be the ultimate sleeper. If you trust Tatum being healthy and available in May and June, then suddenly you're looking at a very good price because Boston was the favorites entering this season, and they still have a chance there. Now, the issue I have with the Western Conference teams is you have to beat Oklahoma City. So taking Minnesota, it's like, all right, sure, you couldn't even I mean, like, what are we doing here? You weren't really close to beating OKC. You now have to beat them again. You still have Gobert making a bunch of money. You got to pay Naz Reid. Randall might be gone. Like, I don't know what the hell Minnesota's going to do. So I think I'm going East. I agree with you on Cleveland. I think the path is open. I love Cleveland to win the Eastern Conference at plus 255. I'll segue into conference stuff instead, because for championship odds, you have Eastern Conference. Okay, so Hunter's saying that he hears the actual noise. So I'm going to relocate as I actually go.
I just heard it too.
I figured. Once again, I'm doing some construction. No, you can keep talking. I'll relocate. It's fine.
Yeah, but if you want to just go like East-West, obviously I think Cleveland is superior in that specific conference. In the West, it's a crapshoot, man. It really is. Like, you have to have a perfect matchup. You have to have, I like Golden State. I really do like Golden State, but they have to do something else. And we're not projecting. We're not basing our predictions off of projections. We're basing it off right now. And you get a full season of Jimmy Butler implemented into that system. I know the injury history with him, but maybe he's rejuvenated. He got paid. We saw what he's able to do whenever he's like paid and everything's situated. Like, you don't have to worry about him wanting money. Steph is going to be Steph. Draymond is going to be Draymond. He might punch a few people, but He's going to be there.
Might kick some people too.
Yeah. And I mean, Pods went through that. He went through that playoff run. He was horrible. Probably get a little bit better. He still got some of those other pieces. So you're probably going to get rid of Kuminga. Like, so I do think Golden State has a little bit of value as well, with two of, top like 20-ish players in that conference.
Yeah, I do not. I think the argument is if Butler and Curry are healthy, in theory you have a chance, but I don't trust Butler to stay healthy. I think that the overall depth can be a bit problematic at times, but I do think the Warriors can win a round or two. They wouldn't beat OKC. I wouldn't take them against Minnesota. You could argue maybe if Butler was healthy and all, Curry stayed healthy, they might have beaten Minnesota this past year. But there's too many question marks for me about how deep the Western Conference is. I don't know how many series I would actually pick Golden State to win in the greater scheme of things. So the West, I only see Oklahoma City for now. I do think Denver has an argument, but they probably have to trade Porter Jr. Probably. Look, Denver gave OKC a war, and half the team was dead. So I think Denver's worth something in that argument. I'll go Joker to maybe make some noise as a long shot, but I hope they make a move in the offseason. They fired their damn GM. They better make a damn move in the offseason. So for the actual odds, I like Cleveland at around 850. I think Denver at 15-1 is interesting. You mentioned Boston at 19-1. I need updates on Tatum. I would wait until I got some updates and I'd go from there. But if Tatum's back before the end of the regular season, 19-1 is a gift.
Yeah, it is.
So I think that's another option as well.
Yeah, that's exactly how I was thinking about it. Even if he doesn't come back, I think they're coin flip to win any series with those guys, man.
Yeah. So anyway, any other hours going to talk about? I mean, looking at the actual conferences, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but Cleveland 255 to win the East. I like that. Knicks 295. I do not like that. With a new coach, I think Cleveland would beat them anyway. Orlando at 6-1. Boston at 6-1. I like Boston more at 6-1 than Orlando.
Yeah, agree.
So those kind of what I'm interested in. Pacers, no. Bucks, no. Sixers, no. Shout out to Detroit, but no.
You know what? I like the Sixers.
You do.
I do. Sixers are one of those teams that I like, man. They're one of the teams that I understand.
Mr. Never been to a conference finals is going to finally figure it out.
I understand it. I really do. But they had the whole year off, bro. They had the whole year off. We saw what Embiid is able to do. Like whenever he's, I get it. It's if he's healthy and he's shown that he's not been able to be healthy. I completely get it. I can't even push back. But I'm saying, if it's right, I think they got a shot, man. I think they got a shot. I'm actually gonna after the draft and after I see what they do, I'm gonna bet Philly to like win the East and the whole thing.
Out of curiosity, how much are you gonna put down on Philly to win?
Depending on the odds. I mean, maybe like a couple hundred. Like it's not gonna be crazy.
If you want to just hand me a couple hundred instead, you can do that too. If you want to do that, but the Sixers are not winning shit.
I mean, they might not.
Full disclosure. That team is so soft and broken.
The Sixers, I can't push back on anything.
I like McClain. I think Maxi's fun. Paul George at this stage in his career and Embiid at this point, I can't. I just can't do it. They're going to be what, like a 5 seed because Embiid's going to sit out half the season minimum?
If they can get, we named out 3 teams. They can get, everybody else is pretty much the same.
I think that the Sixers would get worked in a series by the Cavs, for example.
No, I'm not disagreeing.
And the Knicks would beat them. I don't like the Sixers at all. But
man, listen, I'm going to be pro Sixers this year. I'm telling you this right now. I'm going to be pro Sixers. So get ready.
Good luck with that. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the actual show. Quickly seeing if I could find exact outcomes for the finals. I do not see anything for that. So unfortunately, I can't give you exact like Thunder versus Cavs odds and stuff like that. Anyway, I do want to ask you, though, before we officially end the show, anything else you want to add?
No, man, that's it. I think it's a pretty good show. Appreciate everybody for showing love this year. And, we'll be back better than ever. Do some self-scouting, get some things together, and we'll be back better than ever.
Yeah, so the NBA draft's on Wednesday. We are not going to have a draft episode. It was kind of my fault. I forgot to actually organize an episode for it about a week ago. So my bad. We thought about doing an episode tomorrow, but a lot of odds are kind of already nuked at this point. It's kind of a waste. So we're not going to do a draft episode. We might do a little bit of Summer League here or there. Of course, we'll do some free agency. If some trades happen, we'll have some breaking news podcasts. But we might be going a bit quiet for the NBA content. We have the WNBA show, of course, which is still on this channel on YouTube. So Terrell and I will still be doing the W almost every day. So check out that as well. But find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio. Find him on Twitter at XLonteXX. Till next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Go Nets. We'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Basketball, gimme the ball because I'm